out early. Unity of Monterey Bay online virtual community as we continue to navigate through this worldwide COVID-19 flu pandemic together, knowing and giving thanks for our spiritual connection, even when we're in separate rooms, separate houses, or even separate cities. I'm Rev Vicky Elder, here with Rev Michelle Jelinich and our Essential Sunday Service team. Music director Denise Hedlund with Richard Conklin on drums, council co-chair and platform Robin Falkenberg, and Keith Larson and Larry Sanks helping us with soundboard and logistics. Unity of Monterey Bay is an inclusive spiritual community, honoring the God of each of our understanding and recognizing the innate good and divine essence within each and every individual. Will you please join me in our statement of faith? There is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good, expressing as infinite God beyond us, intimate God beside us, inner God being us, divine love in action. And so it is. So let's begin with a moment of prayer. We come together once again with open hearts and open minds, ready and willing to be transformed by this collective gathering and these novel times. We come together within the presence, love, and light of the God of each of our understanding. And this morning, I share a Unitarian Universalist chalice lighting prayer for sacred unknowing. We light this flame, which we've already lit, for the art of sacred unknowing. Humbled by all that we cannot fathom in this time, we come into the presence of what we do know. Perhaps the only thing we can ever know, that love is now and forever. The only answer to everything and everyone in every moment. And so it is.
So it is.
And now please join me in our spring quarter affirmation, repeating after me. My heart knows well-being.
My heart knows well-being.
No matter the circumstances.
No matter the circumstances.
Releasing all fear.
Releasing all fear.
I rise.
I rise.
And so it is. Well, this is the first Sunday of the month. And we can't invite you who are having your birthday in May up front here, but we're not forgetting our May birthday people, and that includes both my son and my grandson. So if it's your birthday this May, or it was your birthday in April and you weren't able to participate that, I just invite you to just close your eyes and imagine you're standing in front of our loving community as we sing to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, you're wonderful. Happy birthday to you. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you, you're wonderful. God is blessing
glad you guys are all here with us this morning. This is the time in our service when we bless our children, so we're going to do that virtually. So we just take a moment to hold all of the children in our lives, neighbors and friends and family, children and grandchildren, as well as all of the children around the world today. Will you please join with me in our heartfelt blessing? We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, just the way you are. Smiling faces that I'm looking at. Denise over here on the piano with a big smile on her face, and Richard on the drums, and Robin's over here smiling. Larry, are you smiling? Let's see that smile. There we go. Everyone is smiling, and I hope that you at home are smiling with us. So as always, for our announcements, we just refer you to our weekly shout out that contains information. Well, Vicky is now doing a weekly message, so look for that. Sort of a little musings or a blog, so to speak, right? And it also has information about things that are going on. We still have an Enneagram class going on and various things. So please refer to your newsletter for that. But we do want to share one important announcement this morning, and that is our strong recommendation, encouragement for you to complete your 2020 census. Haven't done mine yet, sorry. Ooh, confession time.
Monterey County is lagging behind the state.
Okay, Monterey County is lagging behind, probably because of me. No. So pull that census out and complete that. The census has gotten pushed aside because of the COVID-19 situation, but it's still essential that we get a complete accounting. So, if you're having any problem with your census, please feel free to reach out to me or Vicky. Yeah, don't reach out. Reach out to Vicky. It's the blind leading the blind over here. So, and we will help you get the assistance that you need in order to complete that. Okay, so with all of that, we're going to now take a moment and begin to bring that attention and that focus from the outer to the blissful inner connection with Spirit. So taking a deep breath in together and letting it out with an audible sigh, we allow all distractions to gently fade away as we invite the chime to call us into the sacred space within. And to remind us of our interconnectedness with all of creation and with the sacred circle of life. As we feel it resonating through our very beings, we follow its call into this now present moment within. Continuing to focus on our breath, with each inhale, we open our hearts and minds. We envision our breath reaching every cell of our being. And with each exhale, we see all barriers and obstacles dissolving into the divine flow. And again, as we inhale, we expand the spaciousness within us. We move beyond the limitations and boundaries of our bodies. And as we exhale, we ground ourselves deep within Mother Earth and into our oneness with the universe. Finally, now we breathe our awareness into that highest expression of love, light, joy, and peace that we can imagine, as we experience a transforming wave of gratitude, and with a fullness of heart we say yes to it all. Embracing, claiming, and knowing the divine Christ Spirit expressing in, through, and as us. And with a final exhale, we say, thank you, God. So now, fully centered and transformed by the power of Spirit, we enter into our lesson and meditation time with today's daily word.
And the word is world peace. I invite you to allow my words to be your words. I contribute to peace in the world. When I learn of conflict in my community or in the world, my response may be frustration, sadness, or anger. If I have those feelings, I remember that I am more than merely human. I am a living expression of God, heir to all that God is. I use my divine faculties of wisdom, understanding, and love to create the abiding peace that is my birthright. Centered in divine peace, I realize that every person is as much an expression of God as I am. As differences dissolve in a way that transcends human understanding, I come to know oneness with all of the world's people. I let this realization shape my response to every person and every situation. An awareness of my oneness with all people, my thoughts, words, and actions contribute to peace in the world. And from the scriptures, the glory that you have given me, I have given them, that they may be one as we are one. John chapter 17, verse 22. In witness to the wisdom of the many paths to the sacred, we read from 3 sacred traditions on this morning's topic, practicing enlightenment. From Buddhism, people usually consider walking on water or in thin air a miracle, but I think the real miracle is not to walk either on water or in thin air, but to walk on earth. Every day we are engaged in a miracle which we don't even recognize. A blue sky, white clouds, green leaves, the black, curious eyes of a child, our own 2 eyes. All is a miracle. From Thich Nhat Hanh. From Jainism, birth does not lead to greatness, but cultivation of numerous virtues by a person leads them to greatness. It is a pearl that possesses real greatness, and not the pair of shells in which it is produced. Bahal Agam. And from Judaism and Christianity, create in me a clean heart, O God, and put a new and right spirit within me. Psalms chapter 51, verse 10.
Here I am, use me now. Do your will, speak your word, touch the weak, heal the world. I am loved, I am loved. All along I am known. I'm the branch, you're the tree. There's no want, there's no need. Intertwined, heart and soul aligned. I know you by name. Beloved one, nothing will ever come between us. You are all I've ever known. You're the lover of my soul, Holy One. How you fill my every thought, everything in me is you. Everything in me is truth, beloved one. You lift me up, and I let go. There is no fear where I stand, is where I am. What you've made, strong and brave. You call me by name, beloved one. Nothing will ever come between us. You are all I've ever known. You're the lover of my soul, Holy One. How you feel my every thought, everything in me is you. Everything in me is true, beloved one. Beloved one, nothing will ever come between us. You are all I've ever known. You're the lover of my soul, Holy One. How you feel my every thought, everything in me is you. Everything in me is truth, beloved one. Nothing will ever come between us. Everything in me is you. Everything is truth, beloved
And once again, we want to thank all of the empowered musicians who have given us permission to use their music in our live streaming during this period of time. And that was Beloved One by Denise Rosier. And we're just grateful that we just get to lift up our services with this wonderful music. So this is the final lesson in our three-part mini-series on practical enlightenment, or how living from and as our Christ self actually shows up in our day-to-day walk. You recall that we came out of the Easter season where our attention was focused on our mystical interpretation of the resurrection of Christ within each one of us. And that's a powerful place to begin. And that practice of going within and connecting with that spiritual essence is definitely something that's important in our lives and helps renew us and refresh us and strengthen us. However, finding ourselves in the midst of this unprecedented, novel pandemic, our lives turned upside down, suspending us in a virtual and practical unknown, has also called us to seek out that practical aspect of our spirituality. I'm guessing I'm not a lot different than many of you, and in such times of chaos and confusion, especially a global pandemic, even that word sounds scary, at least it does to me, it sounds ominous. In those kinds of times, our first thought or desire is to get grounded. When I'm feeling like out of control, I want to get grounded. And fortunately for us, that means we turn to our spiritual practice that both defines and informs our lives. In essence, the first element of the practical enlightenment elements that we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks. To get grounded, we immediately take a deep breath in and let it out with an audible sigh. Let's do that right now. That practice, that going to that centering practice grounds us back into our physical bodies. And if you're like me, I usually need to take more than one, and I need to repeat that as often as necessary in whatever I'm going through. But it's a great reminder to know that I can stop at any moment and take that deep breath in. Have you noticed that we normally hold our breath when things go wonky? Not literally, because we'd pass out if we literally did it, but our breath gets shallow and fast, which messes up our CO2 levels and causes the blood vessels that go to our brains to shrink, and that results in lightheadedness or in tingling sensations. In other words, our bodies begin to mimic our thoughts in panic mode. So to get grounded, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, which is the second element of our practical enlightenment practice, we need to stop and breathe. And then, having paused our ego panic reactions and gained some spiritual perspective, we're able to reopen our hearts and minds, which is the third element, to objectively observe what is happening, both acknowledging the pain and fear that we may be feeling and seeing in others, and becoming open to the moments of grace and miracles that are happening all around us through new insights and new awareness. This in turn quickens the spirit within us and allows our hearts to break open, so we're able to forgive ourselves and others more quickly, endure the unknown more patiently, and open a space for understanding, which is the fourth element that we discussed. This understanding is spirit-led. It's dependent on our practiced emotional maturity and our developed practice of humility, which are the fifth and sixth elements, and it inspires our capacity for loving kindness and compassion, which is the seventh element. As we truly realize that we're all in this together, we can't help but feel compassion for ourselves and for our world at every level, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We're all in this together. Standing in spiritual principle, while open, grounded, and compassionate, we're inspired. We become inspired. And that inspiration allows us to inspire others to join in our resolve. And in that way, we become leaders. Trusting where two or more are joined together, the consciousness of truth and love expands exponentially. The fruits of these 8 enlightened practices also demonstrate powerfully and bless our lives, which allows us to bless others. I'm witness to it every day in the ways that our community has been responding to this world crisis. We're sustained by inner strength that flows from our true source and is nurtured by spiritual community and practice, rather than the trappings of the material worth or power that can be evident or taken away in the material world. We claim peace in our mind, body, and soul as we rise above our fears, having quieted that ego panic, embraced the mystery, and recognized that freedom from suffering comes from within, not from outer circumstances. And all of this allows us to be joy-filled and optimistic, while at the same time clear-eyed and courageous about what still needs to be done for us to be the change that we want to see in our world. And today, having already been cast out of our comfort zones and suspended in not knowing, we understand that now is a particularly appropriate and powerful time for us to double down on our commitment to spiritual truth and bending the collective consciousness towards enlightenment. In essence, for us to be and share more love, more light, more compassion, more generosity, more courage, and less fear. Now, I truly believe that we all get this, and to the best of our abilities, we're all practicing it in our lives and in our world, as reduced as our worlds have become. And yet, I, for one, am still seeking more guidance about who am I to be and do in this moment. Will you join me in taking another deep breath in? Letting it out with an audible sigh. That's a huge question. In all of this turmoil in the world, who are we called to be and do? Well, as I sit in this question, both my guidance and my study appear to me to be counterintuitive. I know, I shouldn't think that that's strange, right? Typically, advice from Spirit is counterintuitive to our worldly perspective. In other words, as I'm seeking answers, what I'm hearing repeatedly is be in your questions. Seek new questions. Be aware that any answers that you might discern now are steeped in this world and not in true change. It's not what my ego self wants to hear. I want to get a clear message, go out and do this. But what I'm hearing is be in the question. I came across a daily good reflection entitled Into the Chrysalis. It began with a warning of sorts by Dr. Stephanie Pace Marshall. She's an educator and author of The Power to Transform. She observes, adding wings to caterpillars does not create butterflies. It creates awkward and dysfunctional caterpillars. Sort of why we need to stay in the question, right? This quote is followed by the reflection of Chris Corrigan, who calls himself a process artist, teacher, and facilitator of social technologies in the service of emergence. I love that idea. In the service of emergence, in the service of new birth and unprecedented beginnings. He begins by admitting that the thought that a caterpillar can crawl into a sack made of its own body and dissolve its form and come out as a butterfly is a cliched image of transformation. Now listen to his words, remember? But holy crap. Stop for a moment and really think about that. Does the caterpillar know this is going to happen? Does it see a butterfly and go, that will be me one day? And then he opines that even if the caterpillar knows at some primordial level, it still shows either tremendous trust or incredible courage for it to take that step into the chrysalis. Now clearly that's a projection, but it's a pretty good one for how we're feeling as humans, because Corrigan goes on to compare our current self-isolating situation to that of the caterpillar. He says we're climbing into our cocoons and waiting for the imaginal disc to come into play and elongate and grow into our new ways of being. And then he further notes, we might be here for a long time and learn some things. We're entering into an interregnum that will be as big a challenge as any that humanity has ever faced. Now I have to look up that word. I can't even say it right. I have to look it up to say how do you pronounce it and to find out what it meant. Interregnum. An interregnum is a pause. And as it's used, normally it's a pause between like two government regimes or between two orders of being, the pause in between them. And in this case, it's actually the pause that literally refreshes. It interrupts what went before and creates the space for something new to emerge. Corrigan concludes that inside our chrysalis, our ideas about ourselves dissolve and life itself takes over. He advises us to watch for the small signals, watch for what happens at the edges, to stifle the urge to seek cortisol hits from triggering events and social media that make us angry, or the outraged merchants that still crave a hold on our consciousness, and instead, he says, go into the goo, cocoon yourselves, and study your imagination. In essence, be in the questions and seek new questions. Charles Eisenstein, another futurist author that I highly respect, he's an active contributor to the transformative work of the Pachamama Alliance, has also been adding to my cocooning questions, observing that COVID demonstrates the power of our collective will when we agree upon what is important. So what do we want to achieve? What world shall we create? He writes from a perspective aligned with ours, saying this, not in this article, but in another place. A miracle is not the intercession of an external divine agency in violation of the laws of physics. A miracle is simply something that is impossible from an old story, but possible within a new one. It's an expansion of what is possible, which is exactly what we believe about miracles and unity. He goes on to offer different but an equally powerful metaphor, likening COVID-19 to a rehab intervention that breaks the addictive hold of normality. Once again, creating an interruption, the pause that makes a habit visible and thus turns it from a compulsion into a choice. And he says then, once we've woken up out of that habit of normality, we have options like these. Do we want to return to normal? Or might there be something we've seen during this break in the routines that we want to bring into the future? After so many have lost their jobs, are all of these jobs the one the world needs most? And or might our labor and creativity be better applied elsewhere? Having done without it for a while, do we really need so much air travel? The Disney World, vacations, or trade shows? And what parts of the economy will we want to restore? And what parts might we choose to let go? And finally, on a slightly darker note, what among the things that are being taken away right now, civil liberties, freedom of assembly, sovereignty over our bodies, in-person gatherings, hugs, handshakes, and public life, might we need to exert intentional political and personal will in order to restore? Or might we be tempted to let them go in the name of safety, apparent safety? Eisenstein's article, entitled The Coronation, is some 16 pages long, and it's full of these kinds of questions, challenging me for sure, and all of us in our cocooning time. So be watching for an announcement for a study group. I'm going to create a weekly group where we can go through page by page of this document just to begin to explore the amazing options he provides. Now, I apologize for not providing any answers this morning. I was hungry for answers as I began this lesson, and instead, what I've created for myself, and I fear for you, is a deepening of our realm of the unknown. We can always hold on to, however, that all transformation comes out of the seeming chaos before it. And I'm going to leave you with this most enchanting possibility story that many of you may have heard through social media. It blew up over this weekend, but I believe it's well worth repeating. It comes from a tomfoolery YouTube, a self-described tight-knit team of visual storytellers whose motto is to let go and love. And it's entitled The Great Realization. Again, I highly advise that you go and view it on YouTube as well, because the enchanting rendering, the tomfoolery offerings, is worth repeating. It begins like this, with a small child asking, "Tell me the story about the virus again. Please, just one more time." And the father concedes, saying, "Okay, so snuggle down, my boy, though I know you know full well the story starts before then, in a world I once would dwell. It was a world of waste and wonder, of poverty and plenty, back before we understood why hindsight's 2020. You see, the people came up with companies to trade across all lands, but they swelled and got much bigger than we could have planned. We'd always had our wants, but now it got so quick. You could have anything you dreamed of in a day and with a click. We noticed families had stopped talking. That's not to say they never spoke, but the meaning must have melted when the work-life balance broke, and the children's eyes grew squarer, and every toddler had a phone. They filtered out the imperfections, but amidst the noise, they felt alone. And every day the skies grew thicker till you couldn't see the stars. So we flew in planes to find them, while down below we filled our cars. We drive around in circles. We've forgotten how to run. We swapped the grass for tarmac, shrunk the parks till there were none. We filled the sea with plastic because our waste was never capped, until each day when you went fishing, you'd pull them out already wrapped. And while we drank and smoked and gambled, our leaders taught us why. It's best not to upset the lobbies, more convenient to die. But then in 2020, a new virus came our way. The governments reacted and told us all to hide away. But while we all were hidden, amidst the fear and all the while, people dusted off their instincts. They remembered how to smile. They started clapping to say thank you and calling up their mums. And while the car keys gathered dust, they looked forward to their runs. And with the skies less full of voyages, the earth began to breathe. And the beaches bore new wildlife that scuttled off into the seas. Some people started dancing, some were singing, some were baking. We'd grown so used to bad news, but some good news was in the making. And so when we found the cure and were allowed to go outside, we all preferred the world we'd found to the one we'd left behind. Old habits became extinct, and they made the way for new, and every simple act of kindness was now given its due. But why did it take a virus to bring the people back together? The now sleepy boy asked. And his father said, "Well, sometimes you've got to get sick, my boy, before you start feeling better. Now lie down and dream of tomorrow and all the things that we can do. And who knows, if you dream hard enough, maybe some of them will come true." We now call it the Great Realization. And yes, since then, there have been many. But that's the story of how it started and why hindsight's 2020. Namaste.
Hear me in your
have an opportunity to take all of these ideas and this wonderful message into some time of quiet contemplation. We have a chance to experience that grounding and that centering that Vicky was talking about. So wherever you are, whether you're sitting up at your desk or lying down on the couch, it's not important. But begin to bring your awareness to this moment. Bring your awareness to your breath. And consciously slow down your breath so that you're taking slow, deep breaths in, breathing in through your nose deeply, and releasing slowly. And again, breathing in deeply, and slowly exhaling, letting go, relaxing. So to get grounded, it's very helpful for us to start to tune into the body. So just allow yourself to scan through your body now. Feeling the places where your body is being supported by the surface beneath you. Feeling your feet possibly resting on the floor. Your hands resting gently in your lap. Now take another deep breath in, and on the exhale, feel yourself relax even more. Just settling into this place. Another thing that can help us to get grounded is to just begin to tune into the sounds around you. What do you hear? What sounds can you hear that are close to you? Can you hear sounds that are farther away, off in the distance? Maybe you hear the sound of silence, or your own breathing. Maybe you can hear or even feel or sense your own heartbeat. Now let go of hearing the sounds and bring your awareness to your breath. This simple act of breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Just allowing all thoughts and distractions and concerns to float by through the sky of your mind like clouds. As we get grounded and we settle more and more deeply into this present moment, we feel that natural opening of the heart, opening of the mind, that expansion. And against the backdrop of that openness, we can simply observe what is happening. What's happening right now? It's happening in my body. It's happening around me. And whatever it is that's happening right now, can I say yes? Can I say yes to whatever is happening in this moment? Can I say yes to life as it is presenting itself right now? Can I meet this moment with peace, with of dwelling in the unknown. We open ourselves up to miracles. We open ourselves up to grace. Loving kindness and compassion well up naturally within us. Just allow that grace now to fill your heart and flow through your body and out into the world as you rest for a few moments in the silence. We just allow our hearts to be filled with gratitude for this time spent in the presence of God, for this time in sacred communion with one another, even though we are not physically present, we know we are all connected, for this community that supports us in our spiritual growth. And we say thank you, God.
Thank you.
Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen.
Unity of Monterey Bay is the collective consciousness and commitment of all of us who give of our time, treasure, and talent in order to sustain the spiritual community that is dedicated to transforming lives. We know that prosperity is a state of mind that finds blessings in every situation, and abundance and joyous generosity. We transform all appearance of fear or lack into a faith-filled peace of mind by shifting our attention to thoughts of gratitude for the abundance of God's good in our lives. And with our hearts and minds overflowing with gratitude, we breathe in the divine flow of God's good, trusting that we are enough, that we have enough, and that there always is enough to both have and to share. And again, we are grateful to all of you for your online giving through our website, Unity of Monterey Bay, unityofmontereybay.org, and through your mailed offerings, including those who have set up automatic giving with your banking institutions, we are truly blessed. And now, from this place of faith and gratitude, I invite you to join me in our mindful intention in joining in our offertory blessing.
I am an open channel for God's infinite good. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies everything I give and everything I receive. I am both blessed and a blessing. Thank you, God. Well, wherever you are, get ready to sing, clap, and dance.
Grateful that he has given us permission to use this music for our live streaming during this time. So thank you, Daniel Neymar. Well, if this has been your first time with us, we'd like to welcome you to Unity of Monterey Bay this morning, and we are so grateful for this opportunity to connect with you and with all of our Unity community and friends. And we hope that you feel at home here and that you experience this as a loving, supportive community that welcomes you wherever you are in your spiritual journey. Our unityofmontereybay.org website has a prayer request link. Please use it. Our chaplains are weekly holding a high watch virtually on Zoom. And we are also able to respond to email or messenger messages if you leave us your contact information. So please keep those prayer requests coming. We are happy to receive them. Rev Vicky and myself are also available by email, and our emails are in the shout out. Also, don't forget that Silent Unity is available 24 hours a day. You can call them up, email them, use their app, or even ask Alexa, and someone will pray with you right then and there. So we are grateful for that long time service that our Unity offers. We will be having our virtual coffee and fellowship time after the service on Zoom, and the link was in your email shout out. Is this something I'm supposed to say?
Yes.
Okay, so that will begin about 11:15, and we're going to have a special 1-hour presentation by the Unity of